Okay, we're still here. I like that better. So there's 4 phases. So we said the menses, which is similar to being if we were to compare to the 4 natural seasons that we see on Earth, that is similar to your winter. So that's your winter season, the menstrual cycle. Then we have what is known as the follicular phase, which starts on the first day of your menses and goes up to the last day of ovulation. This particular phase is when the follicle starts to mature because the estrogen levels in the body starts to raise. It's preparing itself to release an egg, right? So that it can prepare itself to be fertilized. After that phase, you go into the ovulation period. This is when the egg is now released from the ovaries. It's making its descent into the uterus to prepare itself to be embedded in the uteral lining so that it can start to form and create a child or a baby once it is inseminated, right? And then the last phase is the luteal phase, which is the final phase when if the egg is not fertilized during the ovulational period, it will start to strophe off, and the uterus lining will start to melt off the body, and that's what creates the next phase, which is the menses. So that's what really is the menses, the lining of the uterus just sloughing off, preparing for a new phase to begin. Now, those phases, I think I didn't really go into it. Menses is winter, follicular is spring, ovulation is summer, luteal phase is your autumn phase, right? So knowing what the seasons in nature, what they mean, it gives us understanding what those phases and our hormonal changes means for us too. And particularly is where we'll start to see a spike in sexual energy in the female is particularly during the follicular and ovulation period. Knowing this about your body not only helps you to better track just your cycles and or prevent pregnancy if that is something that's important to you, or how to prepare to receive to become pregnant. So there's many reasons why we track our ovulational cycles or our menstrual cycle, let's just say that. It's not always for the sake to want to have a child or to avoid pregnancy. There's another reason why we want to be aware of our cycles. It's before our manifestation period and no understanding our energy changes, because our energy, our physical energy does shift between the cycles. All of you have heard PMS, which is premenstrual syndrome, and the phases or the symptoms that women experience throughout their menstrual cycle. And because of that, the fluctuating of our hormones, our body weight changes, the kind of food you want to intake changes, the way we exert our energy is going to fluctuate, and it helps us to better understand ourselves when we understand the different phases that we are in, and we start to sync and become alignment with what our body needs during each phase. Now, this is so important to understand because this is how we become a better steward of our sexual energy when we recognize the phases. So I said the follicular phase to the ovulation phase is when we're typically would be in the highest sexual point in our life. That's when we kind of we're wet, we're more wet, the vaginal is lubricated, we may even want to have penetration or some type of stimulation there. And if you're partnered or not partnered, we're looking to get that need and that appetite and that desire fulfilled. And this is great to know that. So when you are in this heightened sexual state, there's different ways you can utilize this energy. One of my favorite books is Think or Grow Rich, and there's one of the chapters where Napoleon Hill talks about sexual transmutation and utilizing your sexual energy. Is not always necessary to exert it physically through the act of sex. We can do that, and that's what it's for, yes. But on another level, we can utilize our sexual energy. We can utilize our sexual energy to actually enhance our focus, our mental clarity, to spiritual evolution, our manifestation practice, utilizing that drive and that energy to cultivate the life we we prescribe. Now, how do you do that? You're probably asking. Particularly with women, let's say our female body vulva owners, I highly recommend the practice of Yoni eggs. And this may not work for every female-bodied person. So for those who don't have any constraints to working with their vaginal muscles, bringing awareness to just their whole entire womb space, this is a practice where you can actually use this as a practice to utilize your sexual energy to help you enhance your focus and your intent and your desires. So if you're not partnered, and even if you are partnered and you're just looking for other ways to exert your sexual energy, I highly recommend working with Yoni eggs. Now, how does that help? This one right here that I have is actually an amethyst egg. And you can find all my eggs on my website, Divinelykissedcollection. The description will be left there for you all, or the links in the description will be left for you all to find. All of my eggs are GIA certified. That's from the Gem Institute of America. So they are inspected to make sure that they're authentic gemstones. They're non-treated and non-enhanced. That means they're not painted on. There's nothing added into them to make them shine more. None of that. These are just strictly raw eggs that have been polished and carved into an egg form. So that is the only, that's not even enhancement, that's the only treatment, I should say, that was done to the egg or to the gemstone, was to formulate it into an egg form so that it could be smooth for insertion for those who choose to insert it. You don't have to insert the Yoni egg for it to get the benefit from it. That is another layer of practice that you can do. For the Yoni Dance Yoga class that we're doing this Saturday, it is not prescribed for you to insert a Yoni egg to be part of this class. Neither do you have to have Yoni eggs to even join this class. What we'll be doing in the class is specifically some movements and bringing awareness to a certain area of our body so that we can better cultivate our sexual energy and own that part of ourselves, okay? So that's what we'll be doing in class. So now, particularly during your follicular and your ovulation period, which happens after the menstrual cycle ends, that is when now the body is preparing itself to be inseminated, right? Now, if you don't be inseminated, you still going to have the desire of the sexual energy. What can you do with that if you're not partnered or are partnered but want to do something different with your sexual energy and find ways to help it cultivate for you? This is the phase to really utilize that time. So that can be from self-pleasure. I really recommend self-pleasure at being a practice for spiritual enlightenment. Okay, so whether you are self-pleasuring yourself with one of our crystal phalluses, or utilizing your own digits there, or any other type of tool that you want to use to help you stimulate your regions, your erogenous zones, do that. And when you're doing that self-pleasure practice, it's not about chasing orgasm, okay? I know for a lot of us, particularly female-bodied cis-het women, there's a lot of talk about the orgasm and the female who are in cis-het relationships, and there's so much conversation about that. And yes, that's still an issue, and yes, that is going to be, we need to keep bringing awareness to it and to our partners about it, particularly if our partners are cis-het male, right? However, on another layer of that, I'm going to be talking specifically for women on what we can do for ourselves to build up our voice, to build up our confidence to speak and to execute, right? That's what's important, our confidence to speak and execute what it is that we need and what we are willing to receive and give in this dance of energy exchanging, okay? So for instance, we're going to stick to today's conversation on self-pleasuring topics. So when you're self-pleasing yourself, right, it is now, before you get into just touching yourself, right, I highly recommend starting with a mental exercise, because we know all things are mental. That's the first law of the universe, right, is everything is mental. It's so important to get into a space where you feel comfortable, a safe environment where you are able to allow yourself to let go in the experience, okay? So whether you need to close your eyes, lay down, sit down, Just ensure that you're somewhere where you are in a safe location and safety, whatever that means for you, so that you can express this, right? Energetic shift that's going to take place with this practice that you're going to be doing. So once you get to a space of the clarity there, it's important to allow your mind to be focused on the intent of why we came to this meeting, and whether I'm here because I want to use my sexual energy to manifest a new job or a partner or new opportunities, or I'm just going through a whole life transformation and I don't even have an idea of what exactly I want, but I do know I want to be in alignment with what it is of my best and highest good. That's a great intention right there. It's specific, but not to the point where it's asking for something that's so specific that you may not even sure that's what you truly want. All right, so I say when you're making your intentions, they can be very specific as you want them to be, or they can be, I would say, a specifically open intention, which is just saying, I don't know what I want, but I do know I want opportunities to be in alignment of my highest and greatest good and the action to take them. That's a really good intention, right? So let's say that's the intention that we're doing, whether you're sitting down or laying down, whether you decide to insert your Yoni egg at this moment. Just ensure that your body is ready to receive. Now the body may naturally be already lubricated in this phase because you're in your follicular and or ovulation period, depending where in that 10 to 14 day, like 10 to 12, let's say the 10 to 12 day follicular ovulation period, depending where you're at, your body may be naturally lubricated. You may need some extra help in lubricating that area. Doesn't really matter, whatever's best for you if you're deciding to insert your Yoni egg. Always insert your egg from the roundest part in, okay? Not the pointed part, but the rounded part. And most eggs, particularly all my eggs, have holes in them. They're drilled. I don't know if you guys are being able to see that there. Kind of sort of seeing they're drilled. So you can actually put some yarn through there. I do have hemp yarn that is included with the Yoni egg. So if you do need that extra string there to help you release the egg when the time comes to release, do never pull your egg out. Never pull your egg out. Allow the body to process it naturally. Allow it to birth it out naturally, okay? So that's just always a tip before you insert any of these things into your body. Okay, so when you are inserting these into your body, you want to make sure it's head first, in a comfortable squatting position if that works for you, or laying down, whatever position works for you. Warm your gemstone up. You can hold it close to you while you're setting your intentions and what it is that you want to manifest, create, or create space for, or magnetize space for, right? Because that's what the womb is. The womb is a magnetizing negative dark space, and we want to make sure that we're going into that knowing that it's a negative dark space, and it's dark space, and whatever we set intention to, we shed light into that dark space and we'll pull it out of us, right? So you warm it up, you insert your egg inside, you allow your yoni to just allow your vaginal walls to just grip it, right? And just hold that egg as a glove and find its way inside you. It won't get lost in you, so don't worry about that. It would never get lost in you. It will come out on its own, so don't force it. Think of it as like giving birth to a baby. Even if you never gave birth to a baby, think of it as like that. The body knows what it's natural functioning to do, and the body will do it. I actually learned that on my own, or experienced it on my own with my first child. I wasn't even pushing with the baby, and the body was doing its job, and me just pushing just helped it. But yeah, next. So during this phase, again, this is your time to receive, right? Because your yoni is physically ready to receive, and your body is energetically preparing, and your spiritual body is energetically receptive to receive. So when your mental is in alignment with your spirit and your body, that mind, body, spirit connection, that is when you are in the most alignment with yourself. And then you're putting your sexual energy, which is that physical response to receive your sexual energy, and utilizing that as a funnel within to create and manifest and magnetize your intent, okay? So that is just a wonderful, wonderful practice that you can do to help you cultivate your sexual energy, and using it as a vehicle for enlightenment. Sexual energy is a vehicle to spiritual enlightenment and evolution as well as transformation and growth. And utilizing this is why it's so much attacked. Our sexuality is attacked, whether you're identifying your sexuality, whether you are embracing it, whatever areas of how sexuality and energy can be used, it's attacked on every form, so that we don't use it as a way to transform our reality. And I love that about this energy, because it's so potent, it's so pure, and it's so easily tapped into when you bring consciousness to, when you bring your awareness to it. Some may be asking, how long do I keep my egg in? You don't have to really keep your egg in that long, just for as long as you're doing your if it takes 20 minutes to an hour, that's fine. Allow the body to naturally release the egg while you are doing your practice, or when you come to the end of your practice. Don't force it, don't strain it, don't push on it, don't do Kegels. Let's say that one more time. Do not do Kegels. And I'm gonna tell you my issue with Kegels. There's a lot of issues. My main issue with Kegels is that, one, it's a man putting claim or ownership on a function of the body that has existed way before mankind. That's my first issue with it. My second issue is that it's not always beneficial to women or uterus, vulva, vaginal owners. It's not very useful. I know there's a lot of people say, do your Kegels, squeeze those muscles, but depending on what's going on in your womb space, that could be causing more harm than good. So what I will refer or recommend is working with the pelvic floor therapist, if that is an issue that you are working with. And I look forward in the future, so ladies, look out for this. I'll be doing some content with some pelvic floor therapists to really help us understand this area a lot better. I know for me, I started developing issues in my pelvic floor and just my pelvic muscle because of the type of job I had. I do, and still today, I'm better now, but when I was corporate, I had a sit-down job. So I was always sitting behind a desk, and I sat hours throughout the day on a screen. And since a lot of us in the modern world sit so much more than our ancestors, it creates a lot of issues in the womb space, okay? For instance, I like to think of it, or one of my mentors told me, think of your womb like a bottle of orange juice. Like when you have that bottle of orange juice sitting, all that pulp in the juice will sink to the bottom. And that's what our yoni, our womb space, is doing. When we're sitting all the time, all that good juiciness that we have in us is just sitting stagnant and it's not moving. So it's important to cultivate movement every hour to 30 minutes within your body to help that space stay lubricated, to keep it stay moving and mobile. That's important, not just for birthing children, but also just for having, as we age as women, we are more prone to hip replacement surgeries or some type of injuries that happen into the hip pelvic area. So just again, it's about being aware of how our body is responding to our environment and how our actions is affecting that, and bringing consciousness and awareness to those areas. That's what we're doing, okay? So yes, so you have your yoni egg in, whether you're deciding to touch yourself or just using your mental stimulation to bring that to you. Allow that energy to do. You may feel heat come to that area. That is the awakening of that chakra zone. That's that sacral chakra, which is fire energy. If that happens to you, it starts to feel uncomfortable to you, so it's a point where it's bringing you pain or just discomfort, I would say start to just ease up on your mental energy. Think of that fire energy that's building up. Start to just weighing it down if it starts to give you any type of discomfort or pressure, okay? Typically, if there's some type of pressure or discomfort there, that is a trigger to bring awareness to a physical ailment and also the spiritual, metaphysical meaning of that particular ailment, okay? In our womb, we carry a lot of memory, okay? It's a very watery space. We have lots of memories there, even memories that may not be ours. Just know that, women, females, ladies, my sisters, my goddesses. Think of this, or put this into perspective. When we were in our mother's wombs as a fetus, we have all of our eggs already in us, right? So not only are we a fetus that's carrying eggs, our mother is actually carrying us and carrying every single generation that came before her, and that's vice versa. So pretty much it's like 3 generations being carried at one time. It's your mother, you the fetus, and then whoever your future children are if you decide to release any of those eggs to become fertilized to create children. So it's a wonderful understanding of how we are imprinted with the DNA of the past. It's always in it. So it's not even that past, it's still present with us. So with that understanding, sometimes a lot of the ailments that we are carrying or the memories that we are carrying may not be specifically ours. So this practice may bring up that. It may bring up some triggers. It may bring up some trauma. It may bring up some ancient past memories. And if that happens, the best thing I love to say is allow it to unfold. Detach yourself from the experience and be an observer. That has helped me, is to be an observer of what is showing up so that I can observe it. And if it's necessary for me to feel it, then I will allow myself to feel whatever emotion rises from it. And I ask myself, I ask my spirit, what is being revealed to me? Why is this being revealed to me? And what am I to do with this revelation? That is so important to ask yourself when things come up, whether it's pain and or pleasure that's showing up for you. Allow yourself to be receptive to receive the message. And on another side, if trigger pain doesn't come and you start to feel your manifestation, like let's say you're saying I'm manifesting opportunity, right? Allow that sexual energy to charge itself up and allow it to rise to from your sacral chakra to your solar plexus, right? You'll feel that energy start to rise in your body. And as you get more excited about it and just happy that this is coming to you, allow that energy to rise to your heart space. And thus forth, you go to your throat chakra space, your third eye, to your crown, and allow yourself to bask in that. And honestly, that is one of the best orgasmic experiences that you can experience if you're not stimulating yourself, or if you are stimulating yourself physically. Either or, it doesn't really matter. But however you start to do it, you're doing that not to chase an orgasm. Remember that. Orgasm may happen and it may not. But still, the experience itself is going to be orgasmic. And when you reach that orgasmic state, that is when you are in pure alignment with that manifestation. And from that period, you're going to start to see yourself living in that timeline. You have now aligned your present self with that timeline, and every action that you'll be doing thus forth once you end that session is going to be in alignment with that, because you have shifted not just your mental space, but you brought your heart space there, you brought your sexual energy there, and your physical body to experience it. And now that your body knows what it feels like to experience that said desire, that orgasm energy, that sexual energy is now aligning you with your desired outcome. Okay, so that is a simple practice on working with your sexual energy and being a steward of it. This is how we become stewardships and disciples of our sexual energy. And we're cultivating sexual spiritual discipline instead of just being, oh, I'm aroused and I feel like I need to go out and fuck something. Not saying that you shouldn't do that, because it's very primal, and I'm all about being primal. Okay, I'm a Venus and Leo, so I love primal energy. But we're now giving consciousness to that primal energy. We're now elevating our primal desires to match with our conscious spiritual awareness. And I love that about humanity. That's what makes us so special and unique as humans, is that yes, we're primates, yes, we're very much an animal, but we have the ability to tap into, or to unlock our consciousness, to evolve ourselves. Okay, so this 18-month cycle that we are experiencing, we will be going through a lot of earth energy. I'm so excited about this because it's so necessary for us to break free and become free and sovereign in all parts of our being. So taking back our time, taking back our sexual energy, taking back the way that we create, the way that we relate. All of this is so important to learn and cultivate these. If you're interested in more content like this, please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Follow me on all my social sites, @Tahiri Divine. I look forward to hosting this class this Saturday. Make sure you guys sign up for it if you're interested in it. It'll be this Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, so I believe that's 1 o'clock Eastern time. And I look forward to seeing you all later in the future. I talk to you all later. Love you guys, and good night.